Welcome back. So for this video, I'm going to be showing you how to prep to be able to get started with your watercolor painting. So first thing, make sure you have all of your supplies. You should have 2 pieces of really good, thick, heavy weighted watercolor paper. You'll notice this is so much better to work on than when you're just practicing in your sketchbook. And the 2 pieces is just kind of, one is bonus. So one is for your actual project. The other one, I like to do like a little mini value scale to be able to reference. I like to practice my colors, and you can also just, if for some reason you messed up, you could turn that one over and you have another piece as well. So you have lots of options there. But for the actual project, you only need one. You need to make sure you have your watercolors ready to go. A pencil, an eraser, a paper towel, some water in whatever cup you have, and then you should be good. So here's some tips and tricks whenever I'm getting started. The first thing I like to do is I like to tape the edges. Now this is not necessary, so if you don't have tape at home, don't worry about it. But if you do have masking tape, blue painter's tape is my favorite to use, or even if you just have Scotch tape, it's nice to put a nice little border around the edge, which will keep your paper in place as you're working. It'll keep it from buckling as you're applying water to it, and it'll make like a nice, just little clean edge, okay? So if you have it, follow along with me. I'm just gonna use regular masking tape because I think this is most often what people might have. And when I do that, whenever you go to make a border of tape, you don't want to just apply the tape directly because it's probably pretty sticky and it might be hard to get the tape off later. So here's the little trick. If you have like your t-shirt, or I usually use my jeans, but I'm going to use my sleeve for the purpose of this video. And you put the tape on your t-shirt, your jeans, your cloth over and over again, you end up with little fuzzies on the back of that tape. Those fuzzies are awesome because they'll keep it from being too adhesive. And so by doing that and then putting my tape along the edge, it's still sticky enough to hold down, but when I go to pull it off, it's gonna be way easier and it should come right off. It should. It doesn't always, but it should. So I'm gonna do that for 4 different pieces. Now you'll notice I am taping mine, and I know it's not super straight, there we go. I am taping mine to a table right now. You wanna tape it to something solid that it can stay on while you're working on this project. So if you have like a clean table, kitchen table, desk, anything like that is going to work. I also had people tape it to like cardboard, like a cereal box that they cut up. I've had people tape it to a like large hardback book that they weren't worried about getting a little bit of tape on. Anything like that is going to work. But by taping it onto something hard, it's going to be much easier to work with because it's not going to move as you're working. All right, last couple sides. Trying to make sure that it's straight. So after I get this step done, the next step is to sketch out just the main contours. So you have a couple options there. If I were doing something that I needed to make sure that my contours were perfect, then I would probably do a transfer. So in order to do that, not that you need to do that for this, but I would take my reference photo, I would put either chalk or I would draw all over the back of it with like pencil. So those are the 2 options, chalk or pencil. And then I would place it on here and I would trace over it so that the chalk or the pencil or whatever I put on the back would transfer onto my paper so that I had a perfect contour drawing. Now that works really great. And if you're doing some kind of portrait, then course, just another. And I'm shooting this at school. And I'm not gonna start over because I've already started over so many times. Okay, so I keep getting interrupted, but I'm still gonna go. So if you were trying to do a portrait or something that was very specific, like if you were trying to paint your pet and you wanted to look exactly like that, then you would do some kind of transfer. Now we're doing landscapes, and landscapes luckily are not, they don't have to be perfect. They're not quite as specific. And so, and this is really just our reference. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. It's more of my inspiration as I'm going to create whatever landscape I've come up with. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at this one, but I'm just gonna kind of sketch out the main stuff. Now, you can use pencil to sketch it out. Pencil works fine, and I could just kind of get the main idea of where those different shapes are. But with pencil, you need to remember to go back and erase it as you're starting to add your watercolor. I like to do sketches with my actual paint. So what I'll do is I'll create the color I'm gonna use. And for me, I'm using a like teal color. So I figured out to create it, I'm gonna take blue, I'm gonna take green, a little more blue. And then I like it a little more diluted, and so I actually add a little bit of brown to it. I'm getting a little more blue. There we go. I'm gonna test it out. That's a good color. And then I'm gonna take some water and just grab a tiny bit of it so that it's really light. Perfect. And I'm gonna use that to be able to draw my contours. Lots of announcements today. Okay, so as I have that, I'm going to just go ahead and honestly, sometimes I like to look at the negative space more than I like to pay attention to the positive space. So I noticed up here for the sky, I can just kind of create this general outline. So there's that one. Notice it's not perfect. And then I can kind of create this shape. So this is kind of this treescape down here. And then it's got kind of a water line. Told you it's not perfect at all. There's a dark shape down here, kind of little trees. Oops, gotta grab from the light area. There's some. Another little hill. Down at the bottom, I have some rocky areas. And then I have kind of just a couple big trees right in here. All right, so that's really all I would do to get started. I could add some more details to that, but now I'm ready to start painting.